It's time for Cats Talk Wednesday. Small town and big city joined forces. Vinny Hardy of Lynch, Kentucky, and Terry Brown of Louisville, Kentucky, team up to give you free-flowing, laid-back sports talk. Focus on Kentucky Wildcats, as well as pertinent information in the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball.
And we up in here again for another episode of Cats Talk Wednesday. Terry TV Brown, Vinny Hardy here. Another episode courtesy of the BS3 Network TV. We back in here with a ton of stuff to talk about, man. How you doing?
It was 12 degrees the other day. Winter is upon us here in the upper Midwest. Same day they had, I think, 30s or 20s. Like it's 12 with a 9-degree wind chill. So not great, but what do you expect? Dog wasn't happy. We had some snow on the weekend. I forgot though, it's almost December. But other than that, I'm doing great.
Yes, that made me think. It's a little. This time last year, I went to Green Bay, and I guess I was lucky because it wasn't 12. It was cold, but the locals wasn't fazed by it. And I was like, ooh, this wind. Oh, they're like, oh, this ain't nothing. This ain't nothing. So
I told you about that upper Midwest wind. I told you about that wind. Because I'll look at the degrees sometimes and be like, yeah, 30 degrees, not too bad. You get hit with 20-mile-an-hour wind, woo. And
it goes straight through your soul.
Because there ain't nothing to slow it down, man. The air come down from Canada.
Ooh, like a
chest
weather report for today. Got phlegm in your chest after. I mean, as soon as you take a breath, But I saw that, and hey, I don't know if you'll ever acclimate. I know the missus knows about that life, and this is another year of that life for you. But hopefully, hey,
that's why they eat a lot of stews and stuff here, a lot of casseroles. That's why it's pizza lasagna. They got in Chicago, that deep dish. You need something to stick. You something to stick, man, because it's cold and windy up in here.
That is good, man. I got that DiGiorno, or what was it? Wait a minute. No, where did we go? Giordano's,
yeah. Yeah.
Whoo, that thing. That was them calories was delicious.
That's right. That's what you need.
Well, man, we got cats over everybody this weekend. All things cats over the U, cats over the Ville, U's down, L's down. All yes. I mean,
put it down. All right, let's start with my highlight. Not really the highlight. Anyway, let's start with the football game because I enjoy talking about that. In the lead up to this game, I was told specifically by Louisville fans they was going to beat down the Cats. I was told that Jeff Brom, he's a Louisville guy. He understands a rivalry. He understands how these kinds of things go. He had a press conference, I think Thursday or Friday last week. He had promised the Cardinal Nation that he understood and they were going to fight valiantly. Mm-hmm. They came into the game ranked 10th in the country. Only 9 football teams in the entire country better than the Louisville Cardinals. That's what they told me. They told me they playing for an ACC championship. This is a championship caliber team is what they told me. They told me it had been too long since Louisville had won. It was time to bring balance to the force. That's what they told me. And then, yea, verily, it came to pass that for the 5th straight time and the 6 out of the last 7 times, Kentucky has won. I don't know if this counts. And what I mean by that is by Louisville standards, well, the Satterfield years, they don't count, right? Bobby Petrino's last year don't count. The Craig Thorpe years don't count. Leap years don't count. Presidential election years don't count. This year had an eclipse in it. It doesn't count. They ran the Kentucky Derby this year. That doesn't count. So I don't know if this one counts, but it makes me feel good. Because once again, the last Louisville victory was November of 2017. The same month I met my wife. Our entire relationship has taken place in the time that Kentucky has run this winning streak over Louisville. I know you saw me put that on Facebook, right? I shared that on Facebook. A lot of Louisville fans like, oh, what's that got to do with nothing? That don't mean nothing now. So by the time they play again in 2024, all that plus a presidential election, a second presidential election, let me be clear, my third wedding anniversary. Anyway, a great game. I mean, look, we can go back, and I'd like to say that for the end of the season, what the team could have been, and this, that, and the other. But for Saturday, the team was great. They were disciplined, which was, but they were disciplined and focused, and the defense. It reminded me a lot of how the 49ers play. We're going to beat you up for 60 minutes. You may win, but we think in the third and fourth quarter, you're going to get tired of doing this. Right? And that's what happened. Coach Stoops said it best post-game, we've been playing the SEC. Like, I get it. Losing to South Carolina, blah, 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 blah. But this is an SEC caliber offensive and defensive lines, and that's what we saw. The points that Louisville got in the second half, one was off that Devin Leary, Jimmy Garoppolo interception that he had.
Oh, I could, yeah. Man, that's a perfect way to describe that.
Yeah. But I mean, JJ Weaver, the player of the game.
Yeah, from Louisville, man. The Louisville dude, look, Cummings and JJ Weaver, both from Louisville, right there, showing out in front of the hometown, man.
Yeah, and it's something special. I remember seeing an interview with Derek Anderson talking about, when he was playing for Kentucky, the game at Freedom Hall, whichever year that was, might have been like that 97 team, but it is something special because everybody got something to say. You from Louisville, go to UK. Everybody got something to say, real slick. But you do it in Louisville against the hometown team. Oh, very, very special. Ray Davis. I mean, I'm running out of superlatives. He did everything. Cousin Berrien. It just outside of those two long drives, Louisville didn't do much else. Kentucky really had a game plan. They stuck to it. They were disciplined. And I know you've probably seen this you may not, you don't follow a lot of Louisville people like I do. Kentucky didn't have any penalties. Isn't that crazy? No penalties? Okay. Louisville had 3. 2 of which was that one dude punching people in the head.
Right. Knocked
But they really only got called for 1. And that dude, like, how do you not get thrown out for throwing a punch on the opening kickoff? That's what I couldn't wrap my mind around. And then he got a second penalty for punching a DB in the face.
Yeah.
And the commentator's like, this is on, I think it was Bell, maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Like, this is his second penalty, because he had the other one for punching somebody in the face in the first quarter. Like, how is this dude still in the game?
And last year in Lexington, he was throwing Gatorade bottles at the crowd, like on the way out. He was humming them into the stand.
Let me just say this real quick too. I don't know if you caught Bomani's Monday podcast. He talks about how much he loves college sports rivalries. One, they're dumb, but rivalries make smart people do dumb things. College rivalries are ridiculous. They're all encompassing. The best ones take no breaks. Right?
Right. Yes.
Michigan, Ohio State, Auburn, Alabama. And, I would nudge that Kentucky, Louisville is up there too, simply because this is for all sports. Like, I don't know how Duke, North Carolina football gets down or Michigan, Ohio State softball. I know I've been to Louisville, Kentucky games across the board, and they're all rough. Went to a women's soccer game. One Louisville player got her nose broken. Kentucky girl lost a couple of teeth. Like, they out here about it. Like, these are blood rivals, right? What I don't like, and I try not to paint with a broad brush, but this is what happens with the Louisville, Kentucky thing. One, Louisville fans try to pretend there's only racism in the other 119 counties, and there's none in Louisville, Jefferson County. And I'm like, you need to sell that to somebody else. That's one. But two, they like to act that they're above the rivalry.
Louisville fans.
Like the simple fact we care that we won. Oh, we've got other things to worry about. Okay. And like, okay. Like, oh, we before the game, we want to win. We got to win. We got to shut Stoops up. He's a terrible coach. Blue, 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 blue. Then after the game, it's like, oh, we got other things. No, man. It's a rivalry.
Yeah. Immediately dismissive of it. Yeah.
And
it's a coping mechanism. It's a coping mechanism. What that is.
Right. Lots of copium on that. Right. Copium is a hell of a drug. Copium is a hell of a drug, man. But they're like, oh, y'all throw L's down. Look, man, I have tuned into random Oklahoma sporting events. They're not even playing Texas. They throwing the horns down. We are not alone in that. Florida State, they do the chomp. My whole thing is, if you've got a hand gesture that you do when your team wins, and when they lose, or it's your rival, they're going to do it against you. Well, y'all not even playing us. Yeah, I'm always throwing L's down. There's a picture of me standing on the Cardinal bird.
Yes, it is.
Throwing L's down from 2018. And Benny Snell and them went into Papa John's, or was Papa John's at the time, and won.
So railroad car.
It's L&N credit union. My whole thing is they always act like they're above it. They act like they're above it when they lose. Now, when their baseball team wins and beats Kentucky on the way to the College World Series, oh, now it's different. Oh, we're going to beat them kitty cats. Okay, keep the same energy, man. Keep the same energy.
Yep.
Because as I explained it to my wife here, again, head-to-head, every sport, Louisville has a losing record to Kentucky in everything. In everything.
Yeah, that's you can't deny that, even if you want to.
So going back to the game itself, we got Devin Leary making those throws we kind of anticipated he was going to make for most of the season. We had players making plays. Dane Key, hey, that catch he had for his touchdown.
Yeah.
That's something, right? And like you said, Isaiah Cummings had a great pass. I thought the play of the game on that last drive was Ray Davis getting that first down. Because he got hit in the backfield and was able to get that first down. That changes things. So little plays like that. And so where the Louisville run defense was stout early on, then big bodies wore down on them. Then Ray was able to find those creases, and that's how they got it done.
And the short passes to Ray, same as a run. Okay, the run didn't work. We hit him on a couple of passes, and 20 touchdowns. And as disappointing as this season was,
right?
20 touchdowns to break Benny Snell's record. Benny is a legend. Had a great career, and here Ray comes in year one, gets 1,000 yards and single season touchdown. Receiving and rushing touchdown record.
So and look, we can dissect the team, but we got plenty of time between now and whatever bowl game it is. But it goes back to Louisville folks keep telling me that Mark Stoops is trash. And then I don't know if you saw this, since 2017, since Stoops really started getting rolling, you know how many teams in the SEC have more SEC wins than Mark Stoops?
Ooh.
Alabama, Georgia, LSU. Kentucky's number 4. A&M is number 5. As far as SEC wins over the last 6 seasons. So the math ain't mathing. Like, you're telling me he's terrible, but the math ain't mathing.
Yeah.
If he's that bad, just beat him. That's all you have to do is just beat him.
Mm-hmm.
If the team is no good and, we're the worst, we're a MAC champion school, then it should be relatively easy to win. Should be.
I'm piggybacking real quick on what y'all said on Round of Shots. Well, y'all have different opinions, but I guess Jay. Okay, if it's mediocre, Mark, is the past couple of years a little disappointing? Yeah. Did you hope to win 9? Yeah. End up winning 7. But, and I'm not saying let's just stay here and just be this forever. Let's not try to get up there. But if what he's doing is so easy to do, then how come no other coach was doing this before him? If it's this easy to be mediocre, Mark, then how come we didn't even have mediocrity except for bits and pieces with Brooks and Mummy, and it wasn't sustained. It was,
Well, and I think the frustrating thing is, and I get it. Look, what's up, BS3? What's up?
Both man, Ben Sutterth in here.
So for me, 7-5, I'm cool with. I really am.
My kids got their own YouTube channel and they chiming in. So my boys.
How do you think Kentucky will do next year? Well, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, Hardy boys. I'm okay with 7-5, but the optics of how we got here are bad. I give you that.
Yeah,
we should not have lost to South Carolina.
No way.
Really shouldn't have lost to Missouri.
No.
Probably should have got Tennessee. That's 3, right?
That's 10-2.
You see 3 that got away from you, or at least 2 of the 3. You get to 9 wins, people feel better.
Yep.
My whole thing is, and you see people, and this is a human thing, right? The most recent thing that happened is the only thing that's ever going to happen ever.
Yep.
Because, Dick Gabriel was just talking about, I don't know if you saw his Twitter thread, his Facebook post on when you take a step back and look at Mark Stoops, what he's done in his totality at Kentucky, it still is remarkable.
Yeah.
And I've heard national people say that. Bomani Jones talked about it on Monday, like, hey, you see what Mark Stoops did at Kentucky? That's pretty amazing stuff. So you flip a couple of those wins, people are okay. What I mean by that is Dick Gabriel was just saying, it's going to be hard to catch Georgia. And somebody quote tweeted him and said, well, we just want to stay within 4 touchdowns of Georgia. And friend of the show, Van Hals, was like, last year was 16-6, because you and I talked before the Georgia game, you had to go back a ways for a game like we got this year.
Yeah. And 30-13 the year before that. And
right.
14-3 and 21-0. Ben staying within 4 touchdowns, Georgia.
Right. So, and that was the point was this year, we got to stay within 4. Yeah, this year was, but
erases all those other years.
Like last year, you want to stay, like it was 16-10, and I'm not a math major, but that seems to be within 4 touchdowns, right?
Absolutely.
For me, it's also you look at some point you're going to lose the Missouri game. We should have lost it how we did. At some point, that's going to happen.
Well, yeah.
South Carolina as well. But you're still like 7 of the last 10, I think, against both of those. To me, that's okay. Like in the micro, looking at this season, 7-5. 2 of those should have gone the other way. But it was bound to happen. I think they'll rebound. Answering the Hardy boys, I think they'll rebound. Kentucky's a 7-8 win program. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Which makes the Texas A&M stuff all the more hilarious.
Texas A&M's a bunch of weirdos, man.
That's
You see that press conference? Hey, look, man.
I gotta go back and rewatch it, but yeah, that might have been. If I'm Mark Stoops, I'm like, no, I'm out right there. If I got to come in,
They
and do that,
weird stuff down there, man. They got the cadet, like it. And
as soon as the plane land, I got to do this.
People. Well, a lot of money in Texas. There's always been money in Texas. There has always been money in Texas. But why is it Texas A&M has never gotten a season like SMU did? Granted, SMU was cheating, but still. They haven't had a season like Texas Tech did.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. You got the Johnny Manziel years. That was 8-4.
Mm-hmm. Well, they had, 2 10-win seasons in how many years?
A long, like 4, you're pretty much Kentucky, but they got all this money. This isn't new.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that kills me. Like, to change your lot in college football is hard. Oregon did not become Oregon until Phil Knight started writing checks.
Mm-hmm.
But when have you seen a team go from a 2-win plateau to 10 wins consistently without something major happening?
Mm-hmm.
Like every time Ole Miss get good, NCAA comes the very next season, right?
Yep.
So it's not that I don't want Kentucky to be a 10-win pro. I do. And they can be. I just think if you take out the blowout losses, right? If Georgia's closer, if Alabama's a closer game this year, and you flip, maybe if you flip Missouri and South Carolina, people have a better opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you get to 8 wins, just one of those games, I think people feel better than they do right now. But I'm okay with where the program is.
It's like Tom Leach. I've heard him say it a lot. The SEC is a big hill. Everybody's trying to climb the hill. Georgia's already at the top of the hill. Alabama's still hanging out around the top of the hill. Everybody else is clawing and grabbing and trying to get your footing. And you try to pass a program. You try to pass a South Carolina and a Missouri, and then you try to hold your footing and keep them down. Then you try to pass, if you pass Florida, you try to pass Tennessee, you try to hold it. And sometimes you slip back. You slip back this year, slip back past 2 times against South Carolina, but it's hard out here to get that climb. We was down there where Vanderbilt was for a long time. We used to alternate who was going to be in last with them forever. So now we're in the middle, trying to get to the upper middle, and it's sometimes you lose your grip and you slip back, but that doesn't mean you're just dog water just because you slip back a little bit.
Well, and that was my thing. We had that stretch. 2 wins and 2 wins and 5 wins and 5 wins, 7 wins and 7 wins, 10 wins. And you and I had this conversation like, that doesn't mean we stay at 10 wins.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we get to 12 wins. That's not what that means. Like this improving every year, it's great, but that's not how these things go. Right? There's going to be some backsliding.
Yeah.
And so that's what has happened. I think Stoops gets the opportunity to try to right the ship a little bit. Because for me, a lot of the issues that plagued the team this year, that's a lot of coaching, man. They were not disciplined until we got to Louisville, which I'm thankful for. But they made plays against Louisville that they hadn't made plays all year.
Yeah.
I mean, the South Carolina game, South Carolina was begging to give that game away.
Yeah.
Missouri was too.
Mm-hmm. Every time we do something, a penalty or something to just kill the momentum. And even Saturday, Key had a couple drops. He had a drop early, and I think, and I chuckled because he got up and he started rubbing his gloves on his pants, like, oh man. So he was trying to get his mind right, and like you said, the touchdown catch was amazing. The that throw was amazing. A throw to Barium Brown late where he had to throw it before he was open, and it was a dime right between two dudes. It was a laser, and Barium caught it. Tough catch, tough throw, clutch. Had to have it, and they went out there and were able to execute it. So that was great to see. Now, like you said, like a lot of people want to focus on where was that out all year, and yeah, that's valid. It would have been great to see that more consistently, but I'm happy we saw it Saturday. You needed it, had to have it. I was talking with Jalen Whitlow on Believe in Kentucky. He said Kentucky's offense needs to score 30 points to win this game. They went out and scored 31 points, and then you add the special teams score by Barium Brown. And look, man, hats off to Liam, hats off to Leary. Everybody, man. It's tight ends. 2 tight ends hurt, and you got guys stepping up. Caddis was out, Dingle was out, and here come Cummings and Anderson, and hey.
So look, 7-5. It is what it is. I understand that that's kind of where most teams sit. You're a couple of plays away from 4 wins to 9 wins. That's where most programs are. We've just got to figure out a way. We, Mark Stoops and company, of get a couple of more of those.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the disappointment is. I'm gonna take 7-5.
It's there.
I'm gonna take 7-5
mm-hmm.
because I do remember the 2 wins, the 1 wins, the 3 or 4 wins. I'm gonna take 7-5.
The facilities before the investment took place.
Yeah. How the ever? I mean, there was a couple of games that those are tough pills to swallow.
Yeah.
South Carolina's not a good football team.
Mm-mm. And
Missouri's not leaps and bounds better.
Mm-mm.
Neither is Tennessee.
Nope. I mean, they're 8-4. They're 8-4. Tennessee is. Got beat down by Georgia. Got beat down the second half by Alabama. Got boat raced by Missouri. Can't think of who that fourth one is, but
so my thing is we're going to be fine moving forward. I think Stoops has gotten to the program building. We need to work on the culture. Make sure guys stay disciplined. Because that was the difference between this year and the 10-win seasons is those moments went in Kentucky's favor.
Speaking of, like the first 9-win season, had no business beating Missouri. I mean, they literally stole that at the end. So
with CJ Conrad, and that's the margin. That's where most football programs are.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you're not, even Ohio State now that they can't beat Michigan, but if you're not one of those top, then you have to try to manufacture some wins because the talent gap is not that wide.
Yeah.
It's not as wide as people want to make it believe. Once you get, if you're not bringing in 8 or 9 5-stars a year, most teams are equivalent. That's another thing I was chuckling about. Louisville fans, the talent gap is way better. I'm like, I don't know if it's way better.
It's the Brahmin wealth.
They told me that, yeah. So I don't know if this is going to count. Look, hats off to them. They're going to be in Charlotte for the ACC championship, but still. Yeah. Deep down, not beating Kentucky's got to be a thing.
Yeah.
I know it's become a thing in men's basketball. Because they straight up don't even trash talk that. Even before Kenny Payne, the 4-28 season, like they've just given up on that. And if they win, good, but they don't trash talk that one anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's uneventful.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
Mm-hmm. No suspense to it. It's just
the downside is, look, I like the rivalry. This was a really good football game.
Mm-hmm.
I think what has hurt the Kentucky-Louisville game on a national stage, just in general, was not playing for a long time.
Yep.
Not playing hurt the reputation.
Mm-hmm.
The dislike is there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to tell people, you're not from it. You don't think that Louisville, Kentucky fans don't do it 24/7. Yeah, the rivalry is there. But for the most part, men's basketball, Louisville's just not been very good. They've not been a national player.
It's not in anybody's consciousness like the Iron Bowl and Michigan Ohio State because they had a 70-year drought. Just got started in '94 again, so it's not as ingrained.
And the games haven't been good.
No.
Look, the men's basketball game, like I know Kentucky wins, but the games are just ugly and they're not good. Maybe at some point I need to rewatch the 2012 Final Four, but for the most part, especially when Rick was there, Louisville was just mucking it up. It just wasn't a good game to watch.
Mm-hmm.
We were denied, Daryl Griffith going against my man on 78, drawing a blank.
Oh, Goose.
Like we missed out on that. That would have been fantastic, right? We missed out on those kinds of those memories.
Yeah.
And football games really haven't been that good. I mean, Kentucky is. Look, let me rephrase it. I've enjoyed the 40-point beatdown. I've enjoyed that a tremendous amount. But they just haven't been good games enough to draw in the casual viewer.
Yeah, it was a 27-2 back in the day.
That was that weird game, that Mike Hartline game. Yeah, Mike Hartline won 4 of those.
Myron Pryor, Big D lineman, touchdown,
big boy touchdown. So for me, the games just haven't been very good.
Yeah, no instant classics like the Iron Bowl gives you that every year. It's something wild. Auburn plays out of their minds, whether they're it's something like this. Alabama should have lost. They had a 0.1 chance. They snapping the ball over a homeboy's head, and then it's 4th and 59 million yards, and he gonna drop it in the back corner. So it's something like that. It's a kick six. It's punt, Bama punt. It's something every year for years and years and years and years. And Alabama can throw this at Auburn. They can just say a couple words, and Auburn fans know. Auburn can say this, and Alabama fans know. It's they all have their little names, just like little sections of a book, each chapter, bow over the top, whatever. They got all that, man. It's unbelievable.
And that dude killed the trees, like that's
Harvey Updike, baby. And they're gonna call in and say he did it. Yeah, hey Paul. I just and them were some beautiful trees. I went down there and seen them trees. I was down there the year before Cam Newton and them, when Randall Cobb in Kentucky won at Auburn, went and saw them trees and that beautiful campus, and but yeah, that's next level stuff. That the chemotherapy Louisville Lexington fight, that's kind of what we got. The fight,
dialysis.
Yes.
2 old guys fighting dialysis leading up to the thing. And, I was like, that tracks. Look, man, this is what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, my bad. Chemo dialysis. Thank you.
The SEC, it's just different, right? Like this is the difference. Michigan gets caught cheating. Everybody related to Michigan gonna tell you, one, they're somehow better than cheating. And then it comes out like, well, we cheated, but we're still a virtuous program and blah, 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 blah. And the Big Ten would have you believe that they're all these morals. SEC, Bobby Petrino, come on back, buddy. Come on back. SEC, look, we ain't trying to front on nobody. We're not leaders and legends. This is what we're about.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Man, we got our guests back here backstage in the BS3 Network Green Room. Friend of the show, been on here with us before and dropped knowledge, getting himself situated back there. I see him. He has hopped on with us before TB and talked all kind of volleyball, schooled us up because we get the outsider perspective because we know Hunter Mitchell, but he's UK and bleeds blue. This gentleman covers everybody like the Joe Lunardi of volleyball, maybe is that, but that might be accurate. We can see what he thinks about that. He hosts Set Point and the SoCal show on IE Sports Radio. Also covers football for Sunset Rewind. We'll ask him about all of that. But he is off work. He is coming to us from the West Coast. Got our guy Teran Rodriguez on here to talk some volleyball. Teran, man, how you doing?
Doing good. Doing good, Vinny. Doing good, Terry.
Well, thanks for coming on. It's NCAA volleyball tournament time starting tomorrow, right?
Yes, sir. Less than 24 hours.
Yeah, man. It's hard to believe it's that time already. You've been tweeting at us throughout the season, on the Cats Talk Wednesday account based on Kentucky and how they're doing. When you saw that schedule, Teran, at the beginning, and then you kind of saw him taking some lumps. Coach Skinner had that tough out of conference schedule. What did you think at that point? How did you think the Cats season was going to go?
Well, Kentucky always schedules tough. They always have a tough non-conference schedule, and I do agree. They did take a little bit of some tough losses. The toughest loss was probably against Nebraska, where they lost Reagan Rutherford to injury, and then she had to sit out a few weeks. I think it was like 4 weeks, and Kentucky really missed her. But once SEC play got going, they had to fight without her, as players like Brooklyn DeLay stepped up, as well as Emma Grome and a few other and many others. The middles also stepped up, and eventually, once they got Reagan Rutherford back, basically Kentucky was a machine, and they haven't lost ever since her return.
See, man, he knows the roster inside and out. Knows, look, he's on it.
Well, I know that the Cats are a 2 seed in the Nebraska region, and you touched on, Teran, that Nebraska is kind of a machine. We saw the big, 80,000 folks at Memorial. Is it Memorial Stadium? Yeah. So Nebraska is kind of the big baddie when it comes to volleyball. But who else should we pay attention to besides Nebraska? Obviously, Kentucky. What other team would you be surprised, or would you not be surprised if they made it to the volleyball Final Four?
So I would basically not be surprised if I saw Pitt there, but I think Louisville definitely has a good shot at them, because they and Pitt split the season series. And then don't be surprised if Wisconsin gets back there. They just got back Anna Smrek, who is a very talented player. And then also Stanford is really good. Kendall Kipp is straight phenomenal. Elia Rubin also compliments her, as well as Katie Baird. Texas, the reigning champions, they might have a good shot at it. They have Asia O'Neal, as well as Maddie Skinner. I hate to kind of bring up that name for y'all, but unfortunately, I'm sorry. I actually got to see Texas a couple matches in like week 1, but honestly, I would not. Oregon also is a good candidate to possibly make the Final Four. They run a fast offense from what I hear. And I think that's pretty much it. And don't be surprised if Kentucky manages to sneak there to get past Nebraska. Nebraska has a young roster, but it's extremely talented.
Now I saw on your Set Point Twitter account where you talk volleyball, you tweeted out your bracket, and you have Kentucky in the Elite Eight, and you have them falling short against Nebraska, and you got Nebraska going on to win it all in looks like 5 sets over Stanford. So that would be pretty epic. But you just said you could see Kentucky getting past them, but you also, Nebraska is a heavyweight as well. Got a lot of tradition in the blue blood. If Kentucky fell short, there'd be no shame in losing to Nebraska, but you still give the Cats a chance, even though you picked Nebraska on your bracket, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Craig Skinner has his team playing at a really high level. And honestly, don't be surprised if Reagan Rutherford and Kentucky also has, they know what to expect from Nebraska. But here's the thing. Nebraska, they just recently lost to Wisconsin in their second to last match of the season. And then they also had to go forward with Minnesota, who isn't as spectacular as they were last year. But I think that loss to Wisconsin is the best thing for Nebraska, because as I've been saying a million times on my show, Set Point, it's so tough to have an undefeated season. I want to say the last undefeated team was in 2011, if not 2010 or 2009, when Penn State was the undefeated national champion. But for me, I think I would not be surprised if Kentucky was able to pull out the win, just because they do have a lot of talent, and they, like I said, they have Reagan Rutherford back. With her back, I really think Kentucky has a fair shot. And it's all going to depend on what kind of volleyball Nebraska plays, because Nebraska plays such good defense and whatnot. And while they do have they're starting like 4 freshmen, maybe even more freshmen than that. I definitely think Kentucky, with its experience, can make Nebraska sweat it out, even at the Bob Devaney Center.
Now, a lot of people, I don't know if they had a gripe or maybe surprised, but there was a lot of SEC teams in Kentucky's side. You had Missouri over there. You already mentioned Louisville, Arkansas, and Florida over there also. Does that happen a lot, or do you think maybe they could have spread the conference out a little bit more and not had them so many SEC teams in there that Kentucky's already played and beaten in that side of the bracket? How does that normally work, Teran?
That's a good question. It probably depends on the final ranking. I imagine Kentucky is the 8th seed overall, and Florida had themselves some ups and downs. Obviously, they lost a bunch of their top players like Anna Dixon, Kira Hudson, and Alexis Stuckey. Missouri was kind of a surprise, just because while they didn't really have they obviously had an improved season from last year, courtesy of their head coach, Dawn Sullivan, in her first year. But that's a good question. That's probably a question for like the committee. And the Arkansas potential Sweet 16 matchup between Kentucky and Arkansas, that's going to be a very fun matchup. Obviously, Kentucky recently won at Arkansas in straight sets, and they also beat Arkansas in 5. Want to say that was when Reagan Rutherford was out, but all in all, for that quarter portion of the bracket, yeah, it's an interesting concept seeing those teams, all of those SEC teams in that upper left-hand portion of the bracket. And then you also got Auburn, which made it to the NCAA tournament. They've had their ups and downs as well, and they've got a tough matchup against Western Michigan, which is one of 2 30-win teams, the other one being Dayton, in this tournament.
Interesting. As Kentucky fans, college basketball fans, the 96 Kentucky Wildcats will argue with anybody, one of the greatest college teams ever. And of course, the UCLA from Kareem days and Bill Walton will have something to say. But in your opinion, in your years of watching volleyball, women's volleyball, who is the best women's volleyball team you have seen that you would argue and say, well, this is the best in my opinion because of this and this and this?
Ooh, that's an excellent question. I want to say maybe that Kentucky team that wound up winning it in the post-COVID year. Many will probably forget about that, but honestly, that championship is just as legitimate as it is, because I want to say they only lost like 1 or 2 sets throughout the entire tournament run. And I really think that Kentucky team, because that Kentucky team is the only SEC team to win a national championship in women's volleyball. And it's because SEC teams rarely make it to the finals. And the other teams that have made it were Florida teams, which I think one lost to SCE, and then I think the other lost to maybe Stanford. But overall, I would say maybe that Kentucky team, which only lost 1 match, which was to Florida. I think that's one of the top teams that I've seen. Texas from last year is also a good candidate because they just were stacked across the board. Logan Eggleston was amazing. Then you have that Stanford team before the pandemic hit in 2019. Then you also have Wisconsin winning their first ever national championship. And then you also have that Stanford team, I think from 2016 or 17. Either way, it was when they had a lot of freshmen on their team. And that was when they had Catherine Plummer, who's now an Olympian, and Jenna Gray and Morgan Hens. Those those players were like freshmen, if not sophomores, and they wound up winning a national championship. So there's a lot of good teams I could pick from, but those are a few that come to my mind.
That's great insight, and just the fact that this Kentucky team that we just saw win a title, you put them right in there with all of those other heavy hitters. I didn't know what you would say. That's why I asked you. And then the fact that you give them that much love that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, and definitely I have to give some love to the SEC. It always has a great showing in the tournament. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to get that deep run, but then there was just something in the back of my mind thinking maybe Kentucky can have a deep run. And even if it meant taking on the likes of Texas, they can pull it out. And there was a lot happening in terms of Kentucky before that match. I want to say one of the former basketball players passed away and whatnot, and they were winning it for their fan. Yeah. So honestly,
before the Final Four match, I think is that when Terrence Clark passed. It was
think so.
Yes.
Before the Final Four. They played Texas, I think, and then or was it? I can't remember now, but I think it was the Final Four game.
No, it was Washington.
It was Washington. There you go. Yeah, yeah, that was
Washington because the other side was Wisconsin, Texas.
Yeah.
It was Texas for the championship. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to know that those COVID champiomships do count, Vinny.
Exactly.
Yes, mm-hmm.
Okay, because I know how you like to dismiss COVID championships.
What about the Lakers in the bubble? What?
I know how you do.
What? I mean, you're a Lakers fan too, Teran?
Yes.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry, Vinny. I know you're a Rockets fan.
Yeah,
right?
he liked to kind of discount that, but championship, man.
Exactly. Yeah, you're not getting it back.
You're right. Y'all are right. Y'all are exactly right. Is it tough for you on the West Coast to keep up with everybody in the Midwest and all the volleyball teams on the East Coast, or is it easier since you are on the West Coast? How? Because I mean, I know you work and you do everything. You got other podcasts and other things you do. So how is it hard for you to keep up and keep your eye on everything that you keep up with from the volleyball standpoint?
Yeah, it actually is a little tough just because I think most people kind of forget that I'm a solo host for Set Point. I mean, I did have a co-host for a little bit, but then eventually he got busy and had to move on. But it is a little tough for me to basically keep track of everything because there's like a bunch of volleyball teams. Like there was Wisconsin and Nebraska being undefeated for quite a long time, but I don't think anyone remembered that the Citadel was undefeated. So my thing is that it's a little tough for me considering I also don't have ESPN Plus, even though I just recently bought it, because I no offense to ESPN Plus, but am I going to really pay $10.99 for something I'm not going to ultimately use too much because I'm just a busy man. So, and yes, thank you for mentioning that, Vinny. I am very busy, partially working at the grocery store, soon to be out of it, but I'm also trying to get my name out there in terms of the sports journalism world, sports media world, as well as Set Point. So there you go. Yeah,
man. Appreciate it. So tell everybody about Set Point. You've been kind enough to have TB and I on your show as guests. So tell everybody about Set Point and when you record and what listeners can expect. Tell them about all the stuff you host, all your shows, the IE Sports Radio and Sunset Rewind. Just give us a little bit of everything you do and all the content you're creating and everything you're doing out there, man.
So Sunset Rewind is kind of a part-time thing. I cover high school football for them, cover like a certain selective teams, 6 designated teams from a league in Southern California. Unfortunately, we just wrapped up, so it was kind of a bittersweet moment. But one team that did make it all the way to the section finals, they had like people wishing them good luck from Peyton Manning, Justin Herbert, Mike Tirico, Chris Berman, and Tony Dungy. Those people wished him good luck, and that was definitely an amazing moment. And I imagine it was Tom Telesco because his son plays for Corona Del Mar's football team.
Mm.
And Tom Telesco obviously is able to get into contact with Peyton Manning because remember Telesco was the GM for the Indianapolis Colts before he came to the Chargers. And then Justin Herbert, his franchise quarterback. And then he obviously knows Tony Dungy and Mike Tirico from Sunday Night Football. And then he knows Chris Berman from ESPN. So it was fun covering the Sunset League in terms of Sunset Rewind. And then for the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, that seems to be the show I try to put in as much time as possible to talking all things Southern California sports, like USC, UCLA, the Lakers, Clippers, the Chargers, the Rams, even though I'm mainly pro Chargers. I also talk.
You don't have to cover the Clippers if you don't want to.
Yeah, but I don't want to like forget about them.
It's easy to do.
Yes, yeah, I cover all things Southern California sports in an ample amount of time, and I also have a segment called the Dum Dum of the Week. It's basically if someone or an organization does or says something dumb, then they get put on Dum Dum of the Week. It could be in Southern California or out of Southern California. Like, for example, Krista Thompson lied about made up sideline reports just because the whole thing is it can be a little bit tough to like access the locker room and talk to coaches. Well, it kind of goes two ways. Yes, Krista Thompson made a big fat no-no in the journalism world. However, I think these other stations and networks should have a PR team to have the coaches or at least an assistant coach say, "Hey, you need to talk to the reporter to get your perspective on the halftime show." So that was kind of my thing right there. I mean, obviously you call it what you want, but I think it's both. It's basically both are at fault. Both the organization, the network, the team, and the reporter. And then for Set Points, I've been doing that for 4 years, and I do my best to try to grow the game of volleyball. I cover high school volleyball. I cover the NCAA, college volleyball, not just NCAA women's, but NCAA men's, NCAA beach volleyball. And if I had enough time in my most recent episode of Set Point, I would have also covered the NCAA Division II and Division III bracket, as well as the NAIA bracket, and then maybe the junior colleges in terms of like the 3C2A, aka and the NJCAA. But unfortunately, time did not permit because I got off work at 6, which is when I normally record. I normally record on Spreaker, or I go live on Spreaker at 6 p.m. But unfortunately, since I got off that time, I basically had to move the show to 6:30, and I didn't get home until about near that time, and I had another near 10-minute delay, so I had like an hour and 20 minutes. So I try not to go too long with Set Point, but I also want to like cover everything. I just don't want to be like one-dimensional, just because I like shining spotlight on all things volleyball, including the Pro Volleyball, which is the NVA and Pro Volleyball Federation, and soon League One Volleyball. So I love to cover all things volleyball, and I want to grow like I said, I want to grow Set Point to as big as it can possibly be. Just because, and this is no knock on IE Sports Radio, we're not as big as some of the big time stations like ESPN, Fox, whatnot, but we're trying to be a household name, and I personally am trying to be a household name for all things volleyball. Not trying to be like an Emily Eman or Michaela Chester or Mick Haley or Daniel Gilman or any of that sort, but I just want to be the first Teran Rodriguez for all things volleyball, and not just for like NCAA, but for pro volleyball, high school volleyball, maybe a little JUCO volleyball, that sort of thing. So I hope I basically gave you all I hope I answered that question.
Hey, you on your way, man.
I was with you except when you said you covered the Clippers, because I don't think that's a winning recipe for anything.
I know, but since they're from SoCal, I kind of have to. Until they move to Seattle, then
Oh,
I got to give them some coverage.
hey, going back to the dum dum of the week, you said that can be in SoCal or outside of SoCal. So
Right.
for outside of SoCal, can you nominate Texas A&M's athletic department, because they've been tripping down there.
You know what? Since you requested it, I will definitely do that. And
They
I'll
got
be
Mac.
live tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific time, just for those that are curious on Spreaker.
Okay, they got mad about Mark Stoops, or the fans didn't want Mark Stoops. He wasn't a sexy, flashy hire, and maybe he was also an assistant under Jimbo Fisher, who they just got rid of. So maybe they didn't want, hey, we don't want this guy's assistant. And when we played Kentucky a couple years ago, we beat them. I could see them maybe making a fuss, but they bring in Mike Elko, who's a defensive guy, just like Stoops, a defensive coordinator, and he's from the ACC, which is a much inferior football conference. But they felt he was worthy of being hired, but Stoops was not. Stoops has accomplished a little bit more on his resume. His record, 73-64. He has some lean years starting off, and maybe that's what they look at. But you basically hire a guy that's similar to him but less accomplished, a defensive guy from the ACC. So I just think that was kind of dumb-dumbish on their part. That's just
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I'll definitely keep that in mind.
And going back to the Chargers, since you said you covered them, and I think SoCal, I got to ask you, all these coaches and coordinators getting blown out. Ken Dorsey fired, Frank Reich fired for the Panthers. Get out of here. You don't even get a full year. How is Brandon Staley just down there chilling and kicking it, losing week after week after week, and that man's still got a job? How's that possible?
I have no idea. It's the biggest mystery that no one is going to be able to solve. It's just so mind-blowing, if you ask me. And it's partially because whenever they win, everyone sweeps the whole Brandon Staley should be fired thing under the rug. And it kind of makes me wonder, how much was this man carried by Aaron Donald back when he was the defensive coordinator for the Rams? And people, everyone's calling him, he calls himself defensive guru, defensive mastermind. It's like, you gave up 41 to the Lions. You gave up 23 and over 400 yards to Jordan Love and the Packers. And even though the defense wasn't as bad against the Ravens, you still couldn't stop a nosebleed when it came to like what was it, a reverse or a jet sweep to Zay Flowers. And now I kind of wonder, why didn't the Chargers get Zay Flowers or Jordan Addison? Because Quentin Johnston is sadly, and maybe it's just his first year and I shouldn't knock him too much, but he hasn't been worth the hype. I mean, Darius Davis has been more fun to watch than he has, but maybe I got to give him a little bit more time. But it's starting to look like that first round pick is a little sketch, if you ask me. But I would be surprised if Brandon Staley made it to next year. I mean, I'll give him till the end of the year. I mean, I'm not the biggest guy that wants to see coaches fired, but the dude has done everything wrong. And I will just say, if the Chargers do find some way to lose to the Patriots, and this is the Patriots without Tom Brady, this is the Patriots that have Mac Jones, and this is the Patriots that also have been splitting time with Bailey Zappi, and I think Malik Cunningham, then I think we got to fire Brandon Staley. And I hate to use, I hate to see a coach fired, because basically you have to buy out their contract, and then they basically pack up, and they have to tell their wives and their kids, hey, unfortunately got fired, and they have to search on the new job market. But it's a tough industry. You got to basically be on your A game. And if you're not on your A game, then you're going to basically be without a job. And I hate to have that happen, but the Chargers need to pursue winning, because the AFC only gets tougher. Every AFC team is going to do everything in their power to try to sculpt themselves into a winner. You see the Chiefs, They tried to skin the Patriot way and copy and paste the New England Patriots. That didn't work out. So eventually Brett Veach and those guys from the Chiefs had to basically find their own craft of winning. And then look at the Bengals minus Joe Burrow getting hurt. And then the Ravens and the Steelers. The Browns are even finding ways to win, even though they got thumped by Denver. And Jacksonville, they had a massive turnaround after firing Urban Meyer and getting Dougie P. So yeah, the AFC is only going to get tougher, and the Chargers are looking further and further back of the class. So they have to make the decision of do they want to really move on from Brandon Staley, or do they want to keep him? Because if they keep him and things aren't progressing better, they're going to continue to go further and further down because they've already equaled their loss total from last year. The only way they don't get worse, well, okay, if you, minus the playoff game, but the only way they don't get worse is if they win out, and that's going to be pretty much impossible, especially, I mean, it's a favorable schedule, but Denver's playing better. The Raiders, tough the second go around. They're really good. And then winning at Denver is going to be doubtful just because the Chargers always struggle in Denver. And then the Bills are going to be fighting for their playoff lives. Yeah. And we don't know what we're going to expect with the Chiefs because we don't know if they've locked up the number 1 seed by then or whatever playoff spot they're in at that moment. But all in all, the Chargers do have an uphill climb, but it all starts this week where they have to beat the Patriots. It's either they beat the Patriots, which Bill Belichick has owned in the past years, or they're not making the playoffs, and Brandon Staley will be out of a job. I think this weekend is Brandon Staley's win or bust. Just my take.
And I'm not for saying people should be fired either, but I'm just looking around and seeing the quick hooks these other people are getting, and then seeing him just drop game after game after game, one score or however, whatever it is. And his press conference, I'm still confident in my defense. I'm still confident. I'm like, I mean, so I was just, you're right there a lot closer to it than we are. So I just had to get your thoughts on everything with that. But Teran, man, keep doing what you're doing. You are killing it. You just juggling everything beautifully. Appreciate you coming on here, dropping knowledge. Appreciate you still tweeting at us about Kentucky volleyball.
Absolutely.
All your insight, man, and just hope everything works out. You focused on what you want to do, and IE Sports Radio, whether it's there or somewhere else, you got your name out there, and you got a ton of knowledge and a ton of drive. So, man, keep it up.
Thanks, Vinny. Thanks, Terry. Appreciate you two having me on. And once again, thank you for being guests on the 100th episode of Set Point.
Hey. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It was a memorable episode. I had you two on, I had a coach on, and then I had the Stanford broadcaster for their women's volleyball team. It was quite fun. I just had a 200th episode like about a month or so ago.
Hey, congratulations. And look, that was thoughtful of you to have the two of us on your 100th episode, man. We appreciate you even considering us and thinking about us, man. We enjoyed that.
Of course.
Appreciate you getting off early, taking time out of your afternoon. Yeah, out there in southern sunny California, you could be doing whatever else you want to do, and you hopped in and jumped on here with us, Tan. So we always appreciate it, man, and looking forward to seeing how this tournament plays out.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it as well. I'm hoping Kentucky makes a deep run, and if Kentucky does break my bracket, then I will eat the biggest crow and go on my show and apologize. I'll make note of it for you two.
Hey,
well, we appreciate
that. That's it. We'll tweet out your show, man. Everybody check Teran out on Speaker, Set Point, IE Sports Radio, and everything he's doing, man. Thank you so much, Teran.
No problem. You have yourself a great night. Thank you for having me on, and look to be back on soon.
Absolutely,
Teran. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Teran Rodriguez. Follow him on Twitter at Teran Rodriguez 1, Set Point, Sunset Rewind. Young fella doing all kind of stuff, man.
Yeah. Segueing into the NFL.
Oh, and real quick, Tennessee is already taking it on the chin at Chapel Hill. It is North Carolina 28, Tennessee 12. 10 minutes and change left in the first half. So that's a somebody got to lose kind of game, just like San Francisco and Philly. But in this situation, I like that other shade of blue over that orange. So go ahead, go
Oh, yeah.
Heels. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. I'll take North Carolina over Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. And we did our part in the SEC ACC challenge too.
Let's talk
I'm
about
just
that. We'll
saying.
go to the NFL. I mean, man, that felt like good old days. That brought me back to. I enjoy that. I enjoyed that. It was just we are Kentucky, and if this is the game that is kind of the springboard to the rest of the season, we talked about the Kansas game, had it, lost
Yeah.
it,
Mm-hmm.
but this team looks good. This team looks different, and I'm okay saying that.
Yeah, and
I mean, it's okay, Kentucky fans, to say we're good at this. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
mm-hmm.
I know last couple of years you haven't got a chance to poke out your chest, but they look like they're having the players look like they're having fun,
Playing free and easy.
and it's just go go go, and it puts
Yeah.
so much pressure on you. And they had the run and got out big in the first half, and Miami got hot.
Mm-hmm.
And they went on a run. Kentucky went on a run, and that was it. That was all she wrote last night, just top to bottom. And this is without a big man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And who's looking good in the warm-ups we see.
So hopefully Bradshaw is back soon. But overall, I know Reed
yes
is getting the pub, and he's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
But just everybody else has contributed. I caught some flack, and I guess I should have reworded this.
I knew that one was going. I was like, he gonna have to walk that one back. I was like, oh.
Well, what I tweet out about Reeves, I'm like, this dude's averaging 20 points a game, and nobody cares. Like, oh, I can. Okay, all right.
And I knew that was a response. I was like, okay,
well, you're way wrong on this. Okay, man. Like, I consume a lot of Kentucky media, and nobody, I've not seen Reeves' name brought up at all. Like, Shep's getting the shine, but then DJ's doing his thing, or maybe it's Dillingham's doing this, or what have you. Justin Edwards, and then obviously Trey Mitchell has been phenomenal, and Thiero's played well. But I'm like, and then other people in the Kentucky media world, like, hey, you're kind of overlooking exactly what he's doing. I mean, he's averaging 5 rebounds a game. Anyway, but
putting the ball on the floor, added elements, added stuff to his game.
That one I caught hell for that, and I'm like, y'all know what I'm saying. Y'all know what I'm saying. Like the phrasing, I guess, could have been better, but you're just y'all being willfully obtuse with this.
Absolutely. And I was anxious to see. I was like, okay, Clark Kellogg's spreadability. Miami hits him with the 18-2 run because it's 21-11. It's about to be blowout city, as Dickie V would say from the beginning.
Yeah.
And like you say, they got hot, hit some threes, and okay, 18-2. Now we down 6. It's 29-23. Okay, what we gonna do? And boom, if they didn't just go and handle it and was up 5 at halftime and went on a 20-8 run after getting punched in right back. And I'm like, cool.
And then, it could have been worse.
Yeah.
We started pulling back, and but anyway, hey, just a great win from top to bottom. This team is good. All those folks that said Kentucky didn't have a good backcourt, man, oh man. Like, if we play in Kansas this tough and beating the number 8 team in the country like this without a big man,
and it's just all about. And to be that young, the decision making, the unselfishness, the extra pass, I'm open. Here, TB, I'm gonna go and swing it to you. You over here in the corner. Let me go on. And
This was the team built for the moment. And my concern was for this team was, okay, we've had a bad couple of years by Kentucky standards, right? The pressure is on. Like, let's not get it twisted. This game in November is nice, but we all know, as my man Cameron always says, nothing matters till March. So my concern was, are these freshmen going to be able to bear that burden? And so far, yes. So far, yes. I mean, all the boxes have been checked. This team is gelling really, really well, and they still have some games before we get into the conference season. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Edwards found his groove last night and got it rolling. If there was, it's not a knock, but the roles are kind of already filling in, and we've seen big games from the freshmen. Dilly and Reed already going off. The past two games, Wagner has been going off until unfortunately he got hurt last night, and so Edwards was kind of trying to find his way, and he was able to do that last night. This was a big game. This was a veteran team coming in, top 10 team. How they gonna handle it? Like you said about how they gonna stack up. We almost beat Kansas. Well, this is different. They got rugged grown dudes, and they were more than ready for the challenge. Omer, whatever his name was, and his stiff arms and punching people in the face, and Mitchell getting the foul. But
thank you, Pat Adams.
Man!
Every time I see him officiate a game, I know it's going to be some nonsense. But hey, Kentucky fans, it's okay to pump sunshine. Let me just say that you know how I am. If you watch your team dismantle the number 8 team in the country by 20 points, and your first thought is, one, Coach Cal got to somehow pay for the last couple of seasons, you got to move on.
Sitting there
or you got to talk about players aren't here anymore. Like, let that go, man. We're moving forward. We don't need to litigate the last 6 years of Kentucky basketball to enjoy this team.
Right. Yeah, leave Severe and Oscar alone. Oscar tearing it up. Oscar killing it in the G League right now, man.
Hey, I'm gonna see him on Sunday.
Oscar,
the Mad Ants are coming to Des Moines to take on the Iowa Wolves and Luka Garza.
See,
wow. The wife's company got a box. We're going to a suite to watch this G League game. And I got my Kentucky stuff. Let's go, Oscar. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, man. And I'm glad to see him doing that. Whether he was blind here or whatever, I'm glad to see him get 2020 and kill it in the G League.
Yeah, I was gonna go. Was it last year, year before? Because was it Bledsoe? Wasn't Bledsoe? Who was it?
Briscoe, right?
Briscoe. That's right. Briscoe. That's who it was playing. But then he stopped because he was, going to go all in on the Big Three. And I don't know who was going to get me tickets. Like, you still want? I'm like, no, I'm not going to go. No. Well, you can still go see the Iowa Wolves.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm only there for some Pacific reasons.
Check them Wolves off your list. Like y'all go to a lot of Iowa Cubs games, or just when the bats come to town?
I don't know. I don't think we went to any Cubs games this year. No, we did the very beginning of the season, I think. Yeah. We go because I only go if I'm in a box. I don't go like a regular person. I haven't been to a regular person game in quite some time. That makes me a snob, but yeah, I don't go regular people. We got club level tickets when we went to watch the Vikings and the 49ers, which that Monday night game, why couldn't we have gotten that Vikings team?
Wow.
Why could we got that terrible Vikings team? No, Kirk Cousins got to play like Fran Tarkenton out here. Come on now.
Man, unbelievable. I think Josh Dobbs just threw another interception against the Bears.
But at any rate, Niners got a big one against Philadelphia. Got a NFC Championship rematch. Got playoff implications. Just go out here and play tough, guys. That's all I'm asking for. I definitely want to get a win, though. Don't get me wrong, for a multitude of reasons. I'm tired of Philadelphia.
Yeah, like I said, I've said all the time, I dislike them the most of any other NFC East team. Maybe because they're the most successful right now and they're the hottest team. But
plus, here's the thing: we beat Philadelphia. We play Washington later in the year. We can go 4-0. We be the official NFC East champions as well as being the NFC West champions. Don't think I haven't thought about that. Yes, I've thought about that.
Yeah, you got that tweet saved already, don't you?
Oh yeah, I do.
That'd be tough to deal with,
but getting the playoffs, I want the Cowboys again. You think Mike McCarthy will keep his job? Three losses.
If him and Ryan Day, man, I don't know, 3 in a row. I couldn't. I tried to bring myself to pull for them. I couldn't. I can't pull for Ohio State. So
I just wanted to pull for Ohio State because I was tired of Michigan and all this being better than. And then Desmond Howard, who I love, talk about Pete Thamel, who I don't like. Why is he not in the crowd? And Reese Day was like, well, he's got some death threats. He's like, not a big deal. That's kind of a big deal. And you probably should say, hey, folks, let's not go crazy out here.
You said earlier the rivalry makes you say and do stupid stuff.
Absolutely. Sensible people do dumb stuff with the rivalry.
The blind love for the alma mater, I like Dez. That makes him say some stupid stuff. Desmond, I think I quote tweeted somebody. Desmond been out here picking Michigan to beat Ohio State back when Brady Hoke was the coach, and they had no chance of beating Ohio State. So his objectivity is skewed when it comes to Michigan. He just can't. He ain't ever gonna say them being wrong. He ain't gonna see them being the bad guy or my school did this incorrectly. He ain't that guy. You ain't getting that from him.
No, and that's the thing too, is that's part of the thing is, Teran working hard to do his thing in sports media, but it's all the same people coming from all the same places. There's Michigan alums all over the place. There's Northwestern alums all over the place. The biggest egregious situation was all those Syracuse alums that had us convinced that Jim Boeheim was elite. All those years with the 2-3 zone. I'd be like that too. Let me get on ESPN. Let me get on ESPN right now. Of course I'm gonna be like, well, the Cats.
Yeah. So I hats off to friend of the show, Michael Eaves, because he he still bleeds blue, but I think he does a pretty good job being objective.
Yeah. Not doing
Kirk Herbstreit is objective. Like he'll call it like he sees it about Ohio State, but
that's why he had to move out of Columbus though, because people are crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I had a quick question, man. And this is just totally just making a turn, but I don't know what made me think of it. You're a movie guy. I'm not. You've been on the Forecast, brought to you by BS3 Network, and previewed various different movies with Ben and Doc and everybody, and H-Rap. Speaking of, they're doing a breakdown of High on the Hog on Netflix, the documentary about how African-American food has shaped the culture. Season 2 is out. That is phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, if you're a foodie, go watch go watch season 1 of High on the Hog, and season 2 is out. Binge it and get caught up. It's amazing. But they're doing a review of it. Anyway, when it comes to movies, here's my question. If you have, say it's your favorite movie or one of your top 2 or 3 favorite movies, and and I'm gonna put this on a poll if I can word it right on our Cats Talk Wednesday. If you own the movie, if you have the DVD, if you have the VHS, if you have it on Vudu or whatever, where you just can watch it on demand at your convenience, are you inclined to do that, or do you just still catch it when it comes on TV and then watch it? Do you like, oh, I'm gonna go and just watch my movie right now? Do you do that on a regular basis, or do you just say, oh, my movie's on, I'm gonna sit down and watch it? Because I love Rush Hour. That's my movie. Got the DVD. I got it, but I don't pull it out and watch it. But if it's on, oh, let me just sit down and watch it. So how do you do it as a movie guy? Do you just pop your stuff in that you own, or do you catch it on TV and watch it with the commercials?
Well, the thing is, now I don't have a DVD player because one of the times, last time I came back from home, I've got a box full of DVDs and VHS tapes.
Mm-hmm.
So my two favorite movies of all time I have on VHS and DVD. I've got the Blues Brothers and I've got Training Day. Now, Training Day comes up on HBO Max every now and then, and I have probably watched it on HBO Max over the last year 4 or 5 times. I've just queued it up just to watch it.
Okay.
I'll watch it. We don't have cable, but yeah, if I would be changing channels and come across it, it depends, because I like bad language.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna watch too much of it if it's on regular TV. But yeah, my favorite music. Yeah, I'll watch them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad I've got them physically, since they're kind of taking stuff away from streaming and all that kind of stuff. You know, sometimes it's hit or miss when you're streaming. So yeah, I've got some DVDs. A lot of the Marvel movies, I've got those on DVD and Blu-ray.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't thrown them in to watch in a long time. Again, I don't have a DVD player.
And that's what my question was. I got it. I got Rush Hour. I can pull up Chris and Jackie anytime, but I don't. And if it's on TNT, oh, it's on. And I act like I don't own it and could have been watching it. You know what I'm saying? And that's just,
but
maybe
no, because Kate will be like, watching Training Day? Yes, I am.
Okay.
Because my stepson is Jacob, and I like to call him Jake. Okay, I'm assuming. Have you seen Training Day?
No. See, okay. I'm that guy where
that's
I
right.
always
well,
get
Training Day.
Denzel, you haven't seen that?
Yeah,
I'm that dude.
I'm aware, but
and
yeah.
If not for my wife, I'd be even worse than I am. I've seen quite a few movies because she's a movie watcher, and I've watched some with her, but I'm still bad. I'm still way behind.
So I always tease Kate because Ethan Hawke in Training Day, his name is Jake in the movie, and Denzel in his Denzel voice is Jake. So when she's going off to do her thing and leave both of us alone, I'm always I say, we're gonna have a Training Day. We're gonna drive through the neighborhood and reenact scenes.
I've seen your tweets. And I've heard it. I've heard of Ethan Hawke, so now it all makes more sense now.
So it's just the whole thing is Ethan Hawke is the young guy, and Denzel is the cop gone rogue, and he's showing this young guy the streets. And I always tease that when she leaves us together, that's what's going to happen.
Yes,
is I'm going to drive along. We're going to collect this money.
5 minutes left in the first half. North Carolina Tar Heels 50, Tennessee Volunteers 29. So
yeah. Well, I'm gonna show you this real quick since you brought up movies.
Okay. I'm gonna try to get this poll tweeted out. I got to get the grammar right. So basically, go to Cats Talk Wednesday. Go check out the poll. We'll keep it up for a few days. When it comes to your favorite movie, whether you own it, DVD, VHS, or whatever, do you just watch it when it comes? Oh boy, here we go. Here it is in real life. Here it is in real.
Yes, I do have a leather jacket like Denzel wore in the movie. I absolutely got a black shirt, just like that as well.
See, there we go. See, that's wow. Officially on the show. Some of y'all on Twitter have seen it. On Twitter,
now yeah, I dress up like Denzel.
And Dusty Baker, and who else? And Samuel Jackson, the wife beater. Yeah, you do everybody.
So look, I'm a Denzel fan, and this is how. Way back when in my old job, I was supervisor, had a bunch of people under me. I'm like, look, I'm gonna come in like Denzel. I can be preacher's wife Denzel. That's where he's a nice angel. It's a movie with Whitney Houston in it. That's nice Denzel.
Yeah.
Or do I need to come in like Training Day Denzel to prove a point? Or do I need to be Equalizer Denzel, where he just fighting everybody? Like, how you want me to do this? I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna be Denzel one way or the other.
There's a Denzel for it. Now I've seen Flight, I've seen Ricochet, so I've seen two of them. That's not your favorite. I've seen, everybody's saying Remember the Titans. So even so, I've seen some stuff that I don't know if I've seen any more. But yeah. So I just had to throw it out there. I was just thinking about that earlier, and we throw our little poll questions out from time to time, and I just wonder how the true movie watchers do and a non-movie watcher like myself does when it comes to a movie that you already got when it comes on TV. How do you do? Basically?
I'll rewatch movies, particularly if I catch them on a streaming service. Like I said, I don't catch them on TBS or TNT anymore. But yeah, I watch movies over and over again. I think Training Day is on Max now, so I might have to watch that.
So cool. Man, we covered everything on here. Cats over the Canes, Cats over the Cards, Niners, Eagles, volleyball.
Just a great weekend from volleyball winning its 7th straight SEC championship. This one's outright. To football taking care of Louisville, to men's basketball taking care of Miami. On top of the Friday night, scoring 100+ points.
Could have hung 100 last night, like you said. They pulled back a little bit. Had to settle for 95. So, but like Corey Price said, you beat a top 10 Arkansas in volleyball, top 10 Louisville in football, top 10 Miami in basketball. I think it's the first time 3 teams have beat top 10 teams over the same weekend. So, pretty nice little
all
weekend.
Catch everything, baby.
Absolutely.
All catch everything.
Another fun show, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Always good. Always good. Glad to have Teran come on, talk a little bit of volleyball with us. So
yeah, appreciate that, and wish them all the best tomorrow. Coach Skinner and them start a tournament run. So we'll have all this up on the YouTube. It's on YouTube Live right now, Twitter Live, Facebook Live. Subscribe to the YouTube, subscribe on Spotify, wherever you want to listen and watch, and you'll catch every single show, courtesy of the BS3 Network. We appreciate y'all. TB, man, we'll be back next week talking Niners, talking Cats, talking everything like we do, man. So we'll have all kind of fun stuff next Wednesday for everybody. Terry Denzel, Job Turkey Brown. My name is Vinny Hardy.
I mean, you see that? I got that jacket now.
Yeah.
I got black Nick cap. I'm ridiculous. I'm ridiculous.
And on that note, we'll catch everybody next week. Another episode of Cats Talk Wednesday.
Jake
are gonna
King
Jake.
Kong ain't got on me. I run this.
Bless Jake's heart.
Y'all
man.
just live here. I run this.
Bless Jake's program.
Heart. I am the police.
I'm about to watch it now, so I know what you're talking about. All right. We catch y'all next week. Cats Talk Wednesday. We out.